Hello, everyone. I'm just going to wait a little bit to see if anyone comes on here. This is my first live solo. So I've done lives before with other people, but this is my first live. So bear with me. I'm just waiting to see if people come on. I have probably picked, first of all, namaste and good evening or good morning, wherever you are in the world. I have probably picked an unusual time to come on for people because it's very early in the morning in America and Australia's most likely gone to bed, and I'm in Bali at the moment, and I am behind, a couple of hours behind in Australia, and it's very busy where I am during the day. So someone's joined. Hello. So so it's I'll just wait to see if others come on. But so a lot of you might be watching this on the replay because it is not a very good time, I guess, between the times around the world at the moment. But it's the best time for me where there's no noise around me to come on at this time. So a lot of you might be watching this on the replay. So if you're on here and you can hear me okay, hello. Hi, Connie. So anyway, I'll get right into it because, as I said, lots of people are probably asleep around the world at this time, and it was just the best time for me to do it. But I wanted to talk about, hello. I wanted to talk about soul connections. So this first live I'm doing solo, Spirit has guided me today to come on and do it about soul connections. So I did advertise this on my Instagram stories. So if you are on the path and you want to stay on and listen, or if you're not on the path and you're still interested, please stay on and listen. But I just wanted to tell you up front, the talk tonight will be mainly on soul connections, and it's around the difference of soul flames, twin flames, and just higher soul connections, so primary soulmates and things like that. And the reasons why, the reason why Spirit, I know, has had me come on and talk about this is because for a long time, for those you don't know me, I've been on the path for 11 years. And actually, I've been on the path my whole life. For those of you that have read or seen my book, Flying Without Wings, I've known since I was 3 years old I was travelling with my divine counterpart, so in spiritual form, because we have an age gap. And I must admit, I've been a bit quiet on the topic to come out and say live, like to do lives. I mean, I've talked about it a lot and I've done a lot on my socials and over the years, but one of the reasons that I haven't really come out and talked about it a lot is because there is so much talk out there and indoctrination in the twin flame community that I've kind of just stayed in my own lane. So first of all, I want to say, I'm not saying this to trigger anyone. You know the answer of what's right for you. When I go through the different soul connections, I explain my experience, and I'll also be sharing what I've been given through messages over the years. 2015 was when I really, even though I was on my path before then, 2015 was when I really sat down. I was kind of in all these twin flame groups on, oh hi Famke. I was in all these groups on Facebook and stuff like that, and I was just kind of getting more confused and getting lost outside of myself. So, and it was about 2015 where I actually sat down, and this was the year where I was really, really going within and integrating and just channeling so much and really connecting to my cosmic crew, you know, my spiritual divine crew. And this is where I became so much deeper into my crystalline body. My, you know, I'd been doing a lot of different type of spiritual work that everyone's sort of doing and talking about now. I'd been doing that from 2012 onwards. And I'd been through a lot of stuff. I'd been through dark night, like 3 or 4 dark nights of the soul. I'd been through a lot of my inner child work and things like that. And hey, we're all still, you know, got things to heal, haven't we, through the process. But I'd been through a lot of that stuff. In 2015, I sat down and I just knew that the connection I had with my beloved was kind of different and to what I was reading out there. And we spent 5 years on this, in this connection, going back and forth, connecting, and like in the physical and coming apart and back in the physical and coming apart. And we did this for about 5 years before I even knew the word twin flames, or any type of deeper soul connection other than soulmate, because we just thought we must be soulmates, but we knew we were a different type of soulmate. And then I'd never heard of twin flames. And then when my spiritual coach and teacher at the time, she did a reading and said, oh my goodness, you know, I'm getting channeling through that you're twin flames. So when I didn't know what that was, and she didn't really know much about it, and I went home and I Googled it, and that was back many years ago when there wasn't all this other stuff out there. And I'll be honest, it was better because it was kind of like a lot more aligned with the truth, to be honest, than what's out there now, and or what's been put out there over the last few years. And hi Deb, oh, good to see you, even though I'm not really seeing you. So as, where was I? So yeah, so over the last few years, there's been a lot more of, you know, a lot of sort of indoctrinated stuff put out there. But back then, in those days, I Googled it, and there was a lot more, more aligned with the truth. And so, and the first thing that came up was actually a blog on twin flames in age gaps. And for quite a while, I thought that all twin flames had to have an age gap, because that's what I read. And when I read it, it was almost like someone, I was stunned, because it was like someone had actually followed us around for 5 years and wrote an article about us, because it was just so real. So that's how I kind of discovered the label twin flame. And so as the years progressed, what I did then is, because I was trying to figure out how to navigate this, because I knew it was different to a conditioned relationship that we are taught and programmed in this world, I kind of thought, well, I needed help. So I started to then, you know, join groups. And hi, Pam. I started to join groups. And just to tell you ladies that have come on, if you're not sure and you missed the start, this is my first live, and I've been guided by Spirit to do it on different soul connections, which is around soul flames, twin flames, and higher primary soulmate connections, and explaining the difference and so forth, and a few other things as well. Bonjour, gorgeous. So, yeah, so where was I? So yes, so because I knew the way that we were navigating it wasn't working. We were triggering the F out of each other, so to speak, and we didn't understand, because a soul connection, we're taught, like a soul mate, we're taught that, they meet and they feel the love, and it's romantic, and they come together, and, you know, it's like Bob's your uncle, like it all just falls into place. And yet we could feel that this was such a deep, incredible love, but yet how is this not, like, why were we were mirroring each other, and all of this stuff was going on. So I am grateful that at that time, I am grateful for that twin flame label and template to have taught me and showed me and helped me to learn exactly what the deepest soul connection of the one soul, how it works between the two of you, and how it's completely different to a conditioned relationship because for a start, you're the person and that you're both each other, but in a different form. So for the purpose of the exercise here to explain, I'm going to use masculine and feminine, but this doesn't rule out a same-sex couple, because there can be same-sex couples that are on this path as well. But for the purpose of the exercise, I'm going to use my experience with myself and then my divine masculine. So for us, when you have that one soul connection, in essence what it is, and I'll just, I guess I wasn't going to say this tonight, but I'm guided to say this to explain it. So before we enter our physical vessel, our body, we are a spirit. We're part of obviously the whole creator consciousness source, but where there's different aspects of ourselves, but before we come into the physical body, we are one soul or one spirit. When we enter the body, it's a soul. So when you look at the scientific side of soul, one connections, soul partners, and there's a reason why I'm not calling it twin flames at the moment myself, because I've kind of moved through to the soul flame connection of this, and I'll explain. Sorry, I was just looking at something. And I'll explain how that works in a minute and why I now say soul flames. And again, it's all just a label, but it helps people to understand with their connection as well. And this is what I'm trying to help people with. So where was I? Sorry, oh, that's right. Yes. So as we come into our physical vessel, when we have our connected one come into this physical form as well, one will show up in the divine feminine body and one in the divine masculine. Again, can be same sex, but I'm just using this as an example. So think of we think of a soul, if you want to think of it as a soul, one spirit. It doesn't actually split, okay? So what happens is it just drops the two parts of your soul essence or your spirit essence drops into two physical bodies. So in actual fact, I chose to be the divine feminine in a female body, and he chose to be the masculine. Now, if I had have chose to be the masculine, I would actually be in his body, born into his family, born at the time he was, etc., etc., and the same as if he chose to be the feminine, he would be me. And this is the connection you have. So you do show up in two separate physical bodies, but you're the one soul and the one aspect of yourself, if that makes sense. So, and I understand for anybody listening to this that's not on the journey, that doesn't feel the connection, because it's very different to when you fall in love with someone and you don't share a soul with them. I mean, that's beautiful and that's a deep love, but it's completely different when you share a soul. And anyone that shares this experience will be able to tell you, unless you do share it, unless you do have it, it's hard for anyone else to understand. And we get that. So you do feel, because of that, you actually share an energy body, and therefore you share a consciousness. And I won't go into, because I don't want to get off the topics of what I've got written here that I'd like to talk about, but I won't go into too much of the energy stuff. But I've had some experiences with my beloved that would just, people would fall over in terms of telepathy, yes, but like me in consciousness thinking of one thing and then him being on the other side of the country and acting it out like 10 minutes later or an hour later. And through his social media. So that's how I can see that. So it's through the time, I guess, from 2015 to now, Spirit has shown me so delicately and intricately with the work I've been doing exactly how the energy works between these connections, and they're always still showing me. However, because it's very, very delicate. So that's just to give you a basic of how that works. I can go into more of the science side of it, but I'm just going to leave it at that for now. And so you can understand the true connection of sharing that soul is very, very intricate and delicate and energy-wise, okay? So this is what people have called twin flames, and again, it's all a label, but for the purpose of the exercise, we're going to say that. And the purpose of these connections on a bigger scale, we're all here for different missions and to do different things, but basically the overall thing is for these connections to bring down unconditional love to the planet. We're all part of the Ascension ground crew, which is a ground crew down here of angelics and masters and everything that are helping humanity ascend. And so the way the planet is and what's happening with planet Earth ascending to 5-dimensional, because as a human race we've been living at 3-dimensional. So basically, I won't get into all that astrology stuff, but for anyone that doesn't realise, anyone that does not raise their vibration and function in that higher vibrational frequency, they'll either, there's two choices. Their soul will either choose to ascend and level up, or their soul will choose to leave the planet, and they will transition and they will incarnate maybe in another body to ascend. So this is why you might find at the moment that there's you might hear of a lot of people transcending and leaving the planet, passing over, dying, and it is that simple, really. I mean, a lot of people that don't understand this are kind of going, what? But that's the truth. All humanity, animals, everything that lives on planet Earth has to go up with her, because you cannot live or function in a vibrational frequency that does not exist any longer. So you can't have humans functioning or trying to function in a 3-dimensional vibrational frequency if that does not exist any longer. So the bigger picture for all star seeds, light workers, gatekeepers, grid workers, twin flames, soul flames, whatever you want to call us, that is the biggest mission, basically, is to raise the vibration of the planet and humanity, because it is detrimental. So how we all do that, we've all got individual missions, if you want to say missions, or paths. We've all got different ways we work, and that's the same as each connection. Each connection is very unique and individual, and this is what I wanted to say to those that are on this path, or even that are on a high primary soulmate path. So you might be listening to this now and think, oh, well, you don't know what she's talking about. Like, I'm not here to be on it. I haven't met my twin, or I don't feel I'm here on this path. But you might actually, down the track in a year or two or whatever, you might meet a soulmate. You might meet your one, as in a primary soulmate. And even though you might not have this exact connection, you'll realise that you are here actually to work with that soulmate, come together and work with them in whatever way your path is, to bring awareness. So unconditional love is what we need to bring to the planet, and this is what we're bringing in, basically. So the reason why twin flame and soul flame connections have been so difficult for a lot of us, and a lot of us haven't been in union, is because we have to embody that unconditional love in ourselves, each one of us. So each human of the pair, we have to embody that within ourselves. Can you all hear me all right? Actually, I should have asked that. So can you just give me a little wave or a thingy if you can hear me at all? If anyone's still on? Hello? Is anyone still here? Yes, okay. Pam said yes. So, thanks. Hear perfectly. I should have asked that at the start, because the way I've got my phone, I didn't know it's covering the speaker a bit. So, thank you. Thanks, Pam. So, I keep losing track of where I'm up to when I stop. Where was I? I can't remember what I was saying now. I know I was saying about the embodying unconditional love. Yes, that's right. So we have to. Just laughing. I know. I'm not doing bad for my first live, though, am I? So I'm just kind of winging it as in what comes through. I have got some notes because there's things that I do want to touch on, but the rest is just kind of winging it, and wherever it goes, I've just got my higher self taking over. So, because to be honest, half of this is not what I thought I'd come on and talk about. I thought I'd just go with the list. Anyway, so yeah. So we both have to, every set in this connection has to embody the, Bravo, I didn't realise it was your first live. Good on you. Yes, it is. I've done lives with other people before. So you... I've done lives with other people before. I've done them with Paris and I've done them with Sharon, who is the queen of lives, but they've set it up and I've just tagged on and they've done most of the talking. So this is my first live. I didn't even know how to hit the button and do it properly. But anyway, this is me. I've given it a go. So, and I'm in Bali and I realise that everybody's kind of probably they're asleep at this time. But anyway, so getting back to... what I was saying, we have to embody that unconditional love in ourselves before we can obviously, and integrate that before we can be that to others and show that to others. So the bigger mission on here, the bigger mission is for us to be that and shine our light and show and our love and be in that, because then the way it works when the two of us come together in union and the magnitude of that, of the two together, so as opposed to just one on their own, the magnitude of the two together exponentially is just... the power of the light is incredible. So it's not just like two coming together and double the light, like it just... the ripple effect on the planet, because of the incredible... these ancient souls and us ancient souls and the... so when we come together, we activate a lot more stuff in ourselves, in each other. We activate all extra codes and everything in ourselves that activate so much of our light being, and then that's what goes out to the world. And this is why a lot of these connections haven't come together before this, because they both have to be ready, really, really ready. I mean, you've got to do your work, but really do your work to be able to come, because that's why you come and then part and then come and part, because the mirror is still going to trigger things in both of you. And most of the time it's easier. A lot of these couples are in separation because they work through it. It's easy to work through in separation because if you're with that person, living with them every day, you constantly trigger them all the time, and they can't do their work properly. They can't go within, they can't sit, they can't clean out, their inner child wounds and things that they have to clean out. So it's just easier to do it this way. It's not really easier on each other because you just really do want to be together. But anyway, getting off track. So I was very grateful years ago, but in 2015, I realised that a lot of what people were talking about, because then a lot more indoctrination came into it, I sat down and I said to Spirit that I said to Spirit, I don't think Daniel and I, that's my beloved, I don't think we're actually twin flames, and they said, why? And I said, because we don't act like some of these people talk about them like they're all talking about their twin being narcissists, or they were doing these horrible things to them, or and it was just and I just didn't feel that deeper love. I'm not saying they didn't love who they thought was their twin, but it just it just seemed to me like it was an energetic bubble that was looping and looping and looping around. Hey Kaz, hey gorgeous. So it just felt like it was it didn't feel right. So I said what I feel is so sacred. What we feel is so sacred, and energetically and telepathically we had the connection. So like I said, and even back then, and hey beautiful, even back then in 2015 is when spirit was really showing me energetically. I was living in far north Queensland, so I was in the spiritual capital sort of Australia, if you could say. I was around rainforests. I was walking in rainforests and down by the beach, and beautiful areas. The vibrations really high. I was really connecting. My growth spiritually in the 18 months I was living there was huge, and I knew that was part of my path to go there, to help my ascension process. So anyway, I'm just going to try and watch the time. It doesn't tell me what the time is, but I know I've only got an hour. Anyway, I'll move it along. So anyway, this is when I did a lot of my internal work and connecting with spirit and getting a lot of answers. So at that point, I kind of knew, because we had all this energetic stuff going on, and I knew that what people were talking about in these groups and things like that just didn't feel right. It didn't feel like they connected in like a sacred way. I don't know how to explain it. I don't mean to be rude to other people, but this is just how I felt. This is my story, my experience. Please take from this, if you're watching the playback, please take from this what resonates for you, because one thing I do want to say is that I can't give you the answers about your path, whether you're on a sacred soul path or any other path. The only way you yourself know what is right for you in your path, because we're all on unique different paths. Even if we are in a soul connection, everyone's unique. Every pair is unique. Every person that is not on a sacred soul path even is unique to what they're doing. So you must go within and see what fits right for you. So for me, I just knew that there was a lot of other indoctrination and crap going on out there that just didn't sit right. So this is when I sat down and I said to Spirit, I need some answers. And what I got shown is a very intricate diagram of the spiritual hierarchy and where everyone's slotted in, and about these soul connections. And I could probably go into that in another video about how that is, but what I was shown is, and I even drew it as I was showing it, and I'm not a very good drawer, but I drew it as I was being shown. And so I got shown how there were 12 original sets, so that's 24 humans, and from there is descendant sets and souls. And what I got shown is that it went into a lot more detail, which I won't share on here because it's too long. But basically, I was told that we were one of the original sets. And this is why we felt things different to others, and we felt the connection in deeper ways. And this is why I was kind of going, I don't think I'm on this twin flame path. I think it's called something. I think it must be a different type of connection, because I don't sort of fit with what all that is saying out there. So that was what I got, and then I got shown from there our mission, what we were here for, which I first and foremost want to say, it's to come back to love. So to come into that unconditional love and be that love, and that's what ripples out, and that's what helps humanity ascend. But obviously there is things that we're here also to do along that path. And so I got shown all these different things, and I got shown that through that there's different types of connections here, and that why some people get confused and they label it all under one banner of twin flames is because they do label it all under one banner, but they don't understand that there's different types of connections. So primary soulmates also, so we understand soulmates better, okay, because we've grown up knowing about soulmates, and we've watched it in the movies and all that sort of stuff. So primary soulmates also have a very strong connection, and they will mirror each other, but they don't share a soul. So that's different energetically. So when you are working with a primary soulmate, if you're married to one, if you're in a relationship with a primary soulmate, you might be showing each other the mirror and helping each other to grow and ascend, which is beautiful, and heal. It won't be as, like, you might look at some people, and think, oh, they're just so lovely together and they love each other so much. And so, and you wonder why it's not as, twins go, why isn't that as difficult? And hello, hi. And you wonder why that isn't, doesn't look as difficult. And that's because they're in a primary soulmate connection where if you, completely different kettle of fish if you don't share the same soul as someone, which is your same frequency, okay, and your same, same soul, same vibrational frequency. So, so the difference between with these connections, as I've gone through, so there's the twin flame, and again, there is kind of different, I don't like to use the word levels, but there's different descended connections and different twins, depending on what I was shown, depending on where they fit, depending on the type of soul they are. If they're ancient souls, like most twins are ancient souls, but it depends on where they fit, depends on their path. We're all here, as I said, we're all unique in how we, the path we're here for, and what we here to do. So that's kind of gives you a rundown of the difference with higher connections, higher soul connections. So you can still, when I say soul connection, you still have a soul connection with that person, but it's just different to actually sharing that soul with that person and embodying the masculine and feminine, the divine masculine and feminine in the one, in two separate bodies. And again, for those that have just joined, as I said earlier, I'm just using the masculine feminine bodies. The example, you can have same-sex couples, same-sex soul flames and twin flames. So with a soul flame, what I want to talk about that now for those that are on this path and are kind of like, what's that all about? Like, they just hear twin flames, what's soul flames? So soul flames is what I refer to it now, because twin flames is like an older template. So twin flame, I feel, is now become so, everyone wants to jump on and say, I've got a twin flame. And it's been indoctrinated a lot with the teachers and things out there as to what it really is. There actually isn't, it is quite rare, there isn't as many true soul-connected partners on the planet as we think. Not everyone's a twin flame, and the thousands and hundreds of thousands of people out there that saying they are, a lot are just in high, or I shouldn't say just in, it's still beautiful, but a lot are in high connection, high soulmate connections. And hey, that's beautiful too. That's amazing. But because of this, a lot of people have kind of the whole twin flame thing has been very mixed, and there's like an energy bubble, really. I call it like an energy consciousness bubble that people have been attracted into. And whilst they're watching YouTube videos and in groups, on social media groups, and reading all this stuff, they're constantly energetically attached in this twin flame collective energy pool, if you want to call it like that, and they're looping and going round and round and round and round and round. And all of this time they're seeking outside of themselves, not internally. And this journey is an internal journey. So you will only find yourself and your beloved inside. And it's when you come back and do your work and stay inside, that you, inside yourself and work from inside, that you know the truth. And I think this is what I see, and one thing why Spirit wanted me to cover this topic for my first live ever, is that a lot of us listen to a lot of things outside of us because, hey, we're trying to seek some kind of clarification here, or think, what the hell is this, or whatever. But again, we don't realise we're picking up on other stuff that's not true for us. It's not right for us. Just because somebody talks about twin flames being this way doesn't mean that's right for you. And it's like I said at the start of this, I knew that I knew our connection didn't work like all of that was talked about out there. So again, it doesn't mean, it's not as black and white as saying, oh, well, that doesn't mean we're not one, we're not a twin flame or whatever. It just means that you work very differently. And again, these higher connections, if you're an original, wherever you fit into the diagram as I was shown with these descended twins, it'll work different for you. And cut to, like, we're in now 2019, it was only December 2018. I'd never heard of anyone else on this path talk about original twins. And then I came back in contact with a beautiful person that I met back then, just through social media, and I hadn't spoken to her for 3 years. And I came in contact with, which is Sharon Andrea, and we just got chatting. Spirit told me to reach out to her. And she started to say that her and her twin, they were an original pair, and that is the first I've ever heard anyone else talk about it. And I said to her, wow, I said, I've kind of kept that information not secret, but I just haven't mentioned it for years because I never heard anyone else talk about it. And that's when she actually said she was shown the exact same diagram by Spirit that I was, with how it all worked. So for me, I haven't shared a lot of this because being original twins, it works a bit different for us. Also, people get a bit triggered when you come out and start saying stuff like this. But why I'm sharing my experience with you all, the main message to take away from this today is to know that you have to go within what fits right for you and not try and seek validation from someone outside of you, even somebody that might be in union, like twins in union, all of a sudden they get all these followers because they think they've got all the answers. And I've seen that happen, and then they break up. I'll be honest with you. Years ago, I saw a pair come into union, and then I knew they weren't twins because I've been able to read energy since I was 3 years old. So I can actually read the energy in people and know. But that's not my business to tell people that, But anyway, that person I think's on her 4th twin by now because she just keeps thinking she's, this is a sacred path. And she was a reader, and she knew she'd get a lot of clients and a lot of money coming if she said, I'm in union, and off it went, and and there is a lot out there doing that, and they're kind of sharing information that may necessarily be true for you. And this is something that Spirit keeps saying to me, that there's a lot that are watching these YouTube videos that are oracle card and tarot card readers, and they're just jumping on them to try and get the answers. And these readers have got like 20 and 30 and 40,000 subscribers, all because they're reading cards about what's going on with the divine masculine and feminine at the moment. And it just shows me that there is so many people out there that are confused about this path and seeking some truth. But I also think that they're not going within. So if you've got someone that can release a video with 20,000 subscribers, and then within 1 hour there's been 6,000 or 7,000 views on that. Think about how many people out there really are just jumping on. I want someone else to give me the answer. I want someone else to tell me if my divine masculine's doing their work or my divine feminine or where we are, instead of going within. And I say this from experience too, because there's been times on this path where I've just, gone, and I've just wanted answers. And so I have done that myself. And I'm like, where's the energies are at the moment? And every time I've done that, I've got lost in myself because I haven't gone deeper into my own knowing. And this is what Spirit says to me all the time, like stop watching videos, go within, do this, whatever. And I do listen to my higher self a lot. And sometimes, we do kind of go, and the ego takes over. So the main things I wanted to share is a little bit different on those connections. If anybody's listening to this and they want me to go deeper into any part of this video, because I've only got an hour and I'm trying to touch on a lot of different things with my notes, please let me know and I can maybe just do one video on one certain thing. But I just wanted to share some of those things. I'm just looking at my notes now. Also, boundaries is what I was to share. So please protect your energy and do what's right for you. Okay, I've felt that I've been protected for many years and had like a bubble of protection, a boundary around me from others coming in. I'm not saying that hasn't happened through other people, but from others coming in to push me off this path. And I have been pushed off this path by listening to others various times. But in terms of, for me and just my experience, it's been more the opposite sex. So I haven't, when I've wanted to do the running in this and just sort of run away from it and not want to go deeper in working on myself and things, I have asked, Spirit, Divine, God, whatever you want to call it, to bring someone else into my life. And I've tried many years ago to date and date men and everything, and everyone was just sort of taken out of my path. It was like, and I had one guy even say to me, it's like you have this wall around you that it's like you're unattainable, like it's just this energy. And I didn't feel I was putting that out, but then I realized Spirit showed me that I was to be on this path this way, going internally, being on my own with it, working through stuff, establishing my deeper metaphysical gifts, connections, because I channel, messages and all this sort of stuff as well. So I've been doing a lot of that work for a long time and working with clients and things. So in saying that, if you feel, again, you've got to go with what's right for you, not what's right for somebody else. And when somebody tries to say, oh, don't do this or don't do that, or you shouldn't be doing this in the connection, or one of the biggest things is that, it works this way or it works that way, or you're doing the wrong thing. Again, don't listen to anybody else. Listen to what, not your ego, but listen to what your heart and soul is telling you. So I knew... and most of us old souls will know from a child that we're here on a particular path. We may not know what it is then, but we'll feel we're ancient souls, we're old souls, and we'll know we're here for a reason. And then as you go through your life, things will drop into place eventually, and you'll know what the reason that is. But you'll just have that deep inner knowing. And every time I followed somebody else with what they said, it didn't feel right for me. Now I go by, if it's not a 100% hell yeah, like that's it, that's what my soul's telling me, then I feel into it and I think, nah. If it's not 100%, nah, I'm not doing that and I'm not taking that on board. And it's taken me quite a few years to completely stick with that. I've gone in and out of phases or stages where I've said, that's it, I'm not going to listen to anyone else, and then I don't for a while, and then something happens and then I do. And so it's like we're so heavily programmed from children. We're so heavily programmed in our DNA. There's so much indoctrination, the whole slavery template, all the karmic programs and ancestry that we're clearing out on our path. There is so many other things going on that, plus the path we're on, and that we're clearing out and doing things, that it does take time to break down those programs. And just remember that even when as you're ascending and evolving and you're breaking down those programs, remember that those people around you will be running programs still. So we might love them, of course, and we want to help them, but we're working with humans still that are running with programs, and at some stages we might be to a point ourselves where we're still half in that duality world, or maybe some of us have ascended to the point that we don't work with linear anymore and we're not in duality, but we will have people around us that are still operating from that and from those programs. So staying in your own lane, connecting to your own soul and your own knowing is so important, despite what anyone else is saying outside. And even if they come to you and say you're wrong, well, that's not how it is, still stay with what you know is in your heart and soul. Now, I'm not talking about ego. Like if you're just in a space where you're rebelling or resisting something, then that's your ego. So someone might actually be trying to shine the light on you and show you where you do need to work or go deeper on that. But if you know that is what your heart and soul is telling you, that is your heart and soul knowing 100%, then don't listen to anybody else, because nobody else is on your path. And this is really, really important, guys. And I know we talk about it, and I know I talk about it till the cows come home. But it's so, I feel like a broken record sometimes. But it's so, so, so important, because even the person, your partner, or you're married to, or your parents, or your friends, or your kids, or whatever, they're not on the same path as you. They might be family, they might be around you, but they're not on the same path. So chances are, if they don't understand it, they're not going to like it or want to accept it or agree with it, and that's okay. That's all right. So as humans, we want people to accept us, and we want people to validate us, and we want them to we want validation of everything we're doing, because we want to be liked. Of course we do. But it is all old programming. So please come back. I just wanted to really stress that in here. Please come back to what you know in your heart and soul. And if you're in a type of soul connection, or just on your journey to ascend in another way, and you're not in a soul connection, it doesn't matter. Just stay in your own lane and do what you know is right for you. And again, I know I bang on about that a lot, but it's kind of like so many people don't integrate that, and me too. I never did that. I never integrated it fully either. I would still, as I said, get swayed off my path because someone would say something. And I've been really lucky in the last so many years. The family members I have around me, although they might not have understood my path, they might not have, they love me so dearly, they may not have always agreed on this soul connection only because they've seen what we've gone through, but they all understand now that I am here for a higher purpose, and it's a completely different path to what they're on, because we're all on different paths, and they have now they've accepted and supported that. Whether they agree with it or not, it doesn't matter to me, but just the fact that I can still have, I've cut a lot of people out of my life. I've had to, because again, you're constantly giving your energy, and some of them are just sucking the energy from you, and you can't, when someone's sucking the energy from you, you cannot ascend yourself. You can't raise in vibration. You're getting pulled down all the time. So you need to cut these people out. I'm not going to use the word toxic, because I don't think it's a nice word to use, because when we say someone's toxic, it just means they've got a lot of programming and things going on that they haven't perhaps worked through yet or acknowledged or have an awareness of. And I think, I know on my path, I've had people where I've helped them, brought awareness to a lot of, as a coach, you know, I've brought awareness to a lot of the parts in their life that to work on. And you know, but I've had to cut people out of my life that have kept coming back with the same thing over and over and over again, and you know, sucking me dry. And so, but this is my path, and that's it. And I know for me, you know, when people say, oh, you need to go and do this, and you need to still intermingle with these people, and you know, go out and socialize and go to parties or whatever. No, that's not my path, and that does not feed my soul in any way, shape or form. So everyone is different, and you have to do what's right for you. Let me just see before I wrap this up if I've got anything else to say. So again, I just want to come back to saying, if you've watched this all the way through, thank you. And if you're watching on the replay, because there's a lot of people around the world asleep at this time, this is just touching on a few things of my experience and my truth, and what I've been shown by my higher crew. And again, you have to take what works for you. So, but I do know, coming back to anyone that's in these connections, they are quite rare. A true twin soul flame connection is rare. So let's just say the one soul connection is rare. So again, please be discerning and where you fit into this, because, and as long as you're just doing your work anyway, coming back to, like, I would suggest, my advice would be to remove yourself from trying to watch videos and listen to other people and all this, and go within. As a coach, I prefer to help people through my book, Flying Without Wings, that I've put out. And this is about my journey with my soul connection, but also my journey as a child, being so conscious, and then going into teenage and adult years of where I still was listening to my intuition, but I wasn't applying that in my everyday life, because, you know, I didn't feel like I would fit in, and I knew I was an old soul, and I was wearing a lot of masks. And the book has a lot of different aspects to it, about showing people the illusions of life, all sorts of things like that. And after I wrote the book, Spirit had me write a course, Raise to Your Divine Self, which I wasn't going to write a course because it's a lot of work. It's a hell of a lot of work. And I said to Spirit, why do I have to write a course? You know, there's plenty of other amazing ascension courses out there, and, you know, transformational courses. And Spirit said, because think of what you wanted all in one spot when you started your spiritual path many, many, many years ago. And when I look back, it wasn't all in one. So I wrote this Race to Your Divine Self all-round spiritual course with obviously self-love, because that's the key to everything, but self-love, cosmic awareness, all about energy, and also there's a soul connections component in it. And Spirit had me write this because for me, and Spirit was showing me, people need to really do the work. The amount of people that will pay $100 for a reading just like that, and I've had it with me, they'll book me for a reading just like that, but to find the $100 to have a coaching session, like a personal development soul coaching session, where I can read their energy and actually help them remove the blocks, the energetic blocks, help them clear out their trauma, where I can see it, where I can take them back in the first 5 minutes of a consultation. I can see it, you know, I can take them back in there. And that to me is because you can have a reading, because humans want the easy way out. Like, let's face it, we're all programmed to try and find the easy way out. So, hello, if you're just joining now. So I'm nearly at the end, but you can watch the replay. So the amount of people, that would just book me for a reading, bang, and find that money because they just want to be told their future or told what's going on. Whereas to actually invest in themselves, to work on themselves, to remove those blocks and become a better person, hello, they didn't want a book because that's work. That's got to go, that's going in. So this is why Spirit guided me to write the course that I've written in the first place, because it's like your A to Z. If someone did the course from start to finish, it's all in there. And you won't need to book a reader or a healer because you can do the work yourself. It's all about coming back and finding your divine light being, the spiritual person that you are, your spiritual soul, connecting with your higher aspect of yourself and bringing that in, clearing out the density in your body so you can integrate your higher self deeper and deeper and deeper into your vessel. Because when we're holding, the more density we're holding in our body, our higher self can't come down and integrate further in. And especially now with our crystalline body, because we've released a carbon-based body, because we've gone from carbon to crystalline. So we need to be able to, that's for bringing our higher aspect of ourself down into our body more and working, not from duality, not from linear, not from carbon-based. So working from this beautiful divine light crystalline body that we are. So the only way we're going to do that is to clear out our blocks and clear out our density. And I kind of got off the subject a little bit because I was talking about all the soul connection stuff, but that's all part of that, because this is all, like I said at the start, the purpose of finding that your inner true self, your authenticity, and coming back to unconditional love. And with all the people I've coached over the years internationally as well, because I coach online and all around the world, and I say this with love because this was me as well, I've not met one person yet, and with the people I know, that did not have worthiness issues. And they run deep, where there's layers and layers and layers. This self-love thing has layers. It's not like just waking up and doing a bit of work and a couple of months later saying, I'm in self-love. It's layers. It's like peeling back the layers of an onion. They go deeper and deeper and deeper because there is layers of programming. There is layers of worthiness. So you might feel worthy in one area and go, yeah, I don't have any worthiness issues now. I feel really worthy. Why isn't all this abundance coming into my life, like money or love or whatever it is? Why isn't it coming into my life? And it'll be because there's layers and there's other areas of your life that you're blocked in through worthiness issues. So I think there's not a soul on the planet, because of our programming, that doesn't have worthiness issues or has not had worthiness issues and had to work through them. And this is part of all the self-love. And then, it gets into obviously the boundaries. And that's another video or live I'm going to do on personal boundaries, because it's so, so, so important to implement personal boundaries. Oh, I'm going to go. It's going to cut out, I think. So I have to go. I think it's cutting out. Yes, it's cutting out soon. So I must go. If you have any comments or questions, I guess you can message me if you want me to touch on these topics individually more. This is my first live. I hope I didn't ramble on too much. Ciao, Cal. Have a good sleep. Thank you for your this video. I hope you the start of many. Thank you, gorgeous. I didn't know if you were still on, but if you've stayed on, all of you, thank you so much. And I'll talk again soon. I'm in Bali. It's pretty noisy sometimes, but I think, going up to Ubud for about 8 days, and I'll be in quiet. So I'll be trying to do many more lives. It's a little bit daunting when you first go on, because you're not live. You're not. I know you meant that. And I'll try and pick some better times. It is a little bit daunting. My heart was a little bit because I've done YouTube videos and things before, but it's different when it's live. And I would love to do a Q&A. So please comment if you'd like, or somewhere, if you'd like some more questions or on any specific topic. There's a lot of things I probably don't talk about, but I have so many things that I want to talk about and I want to get out. And I have been standing back of being out there a lot with different things. So, but you can go and check out my YouTube if you're listening to this, because I've got a YouTube channel and there's stuff on there, and obviously my Instagram, my website, my book, my course. I've got to go. It's running out. Much love to all. Love, light, blessings, and gratitude.